father's son. I knew him well, that is, as well as a boy under 4 years can know his father. And fired on by an assassin. He was killed in a city far from our home. Within a year, I was cut off from the rest of our family. Another boy was raised in my place, and I in his. He looked like me, same age, but my name is John F. Kennedy Jr. Now, 55 years later, I'm known as Abdullah. I live in Morocco, survive in this last room of a house that has fallen for a storm. Hard as it is to live in exile abroad, really, it's nothing compared to having lived as an exile in my own country. But the further I've run from my past, the more that I remember. After leaving Washington, D.C., I grew up in the Cleveland suburbs of Ohio, far removed from the architecture of history I'd known before. I felt like I was nowhere. Growing into an adult, I noticed politically most people around me in the middle class seemed to care for nothing else from a new president besides a big tax write-off. While I was writing heads of state, including Colonel Muammar Gaddafi at the time, he was replying to my messages, my letters to him, effort of, you might say, shuttle diplomacy. Then, into my late 30s, I noticed that any number of people told me that I resembled a Kennedy, with shades of a New England accent from a part of the country that, so far as I knew, I had never been. I wrote a story then, a farcical piece called The Unknown Kennedy. I showed it to my mother one evening. We were walking through the supermarket, and she, hearing about these things, looked at me as if she were in terror, and her eyes tearing, she said, "How did you know who you are?" I said, "Mother, it's a fiction." She said, "We took you in to protect you after the assassination of the president. And we gave up our son, your age, for you. But," she said, "don't tell anyone else. Don't tell anybody in the media or in our family, or they'll think we're both crazy." And I looked at her and I said, "They might." And it seems to me, standing there, I was thinking about the girl I had left at my company office where I was president. A young intern working for me, with whom I had spent some time with that very same day. And I was thinking, my God, things are matching up. In fact, it seems to me things had been matching up unconsciously most of my life. Now, having recently read the Camelot story, the original Irish story about King Arthur, who was put out from his family, that is to say, removed from his family at an early age, grew up with another family, not knowing who he was, where he'd come from, but somehow knowing it. Only because he couldn't fit, he ended up living in self-imposed exile abroad. And I began thinking, oh my God, I'm thinking, this is my story. For you see now, I understand that those things unknown behind what we imagine or known are very often the reality. This, while most people are picking up the stories they've been told are true, religiously, politically, or even relative to the Camelot tale about the legacy of JFK. But in truth, there's something else. There's something, as I say, in the unknown, behind the imagined known. And I see it now, because you see, I am my Father's son.